Marty. So I got two, three things that I wanted to just throw out there before we jump into anything else. And Marty, do you know if Chip was going to be able to join us? It sounded like he might be able to.
I thought he was. I sent you I've re-forwarded your message last night to him. I'll step off here and give him a call here in a second.
Okay. I've got just on my little short agenda, just his announcements. I wanted to make sure we get those covered. All right. But before we jump into any just general news and things, just some, small business items. So one, just a reminder that we do have Wveaa Elections coming up. And as far as I know at this point, we will need someone to step up for the secretary role. Dr. Rick Walker will be stepping down from that role. And hopefully, Rick, I guess we haven't heard anything. I don't think it's till December 2nd on your election, possibly to the national group. But yeah, hopefully you get some good news there. So keep that in mind. If you'd like to nominate yourself or someone for the secretary role, please feel free to do that. And actually, any of the officer roles, whether it's president, vice president, treasurer, secretary, feel free to step up and express your interest for any of those roles. The other item I wanted to go ahead, Marty.
My thoughts. We need kind of area coordinators or something. We've got our officer corps is pretty much the Kanawha Valley and Eastern Panhandle right now, and we need some sort of area coordinator or board member or something in at least Parkersburg and Morgantown, Fairmont area. And I just wondered if we could have some discussion of that. People have some ideas on that so that we could have coffee and EVs when we go back to in-person events, which I think are going to start soon here, so that we can be coordinating meetings in those areas as well. Not just...
I like that. What I'll do is probably jot that down, Marty, and for our next business meeting, we can have that on the agenda. So after elections occur,
yeah, maybe we need to redo the way we do elections instead of having officers like traditional club officers. We have, we have other role titles or something like that. I could see that we don't have a president, treasurer, and area coordinators or something like that, or something that better fits our dispersed pattern of membership.
Gotcha. Rick, did you have a question or a comment?
Yeah, I think it depends on whether you put the chicken or the egg first. We have a real hard time getting any more than the people I see here out of the 103 members to even come to either coffee and EV or business meeting to which they're all invited. So if we do think that by creating area coordinators, we could increase that one person coming is fine. But at the moment, we haven't seen anybody from those there. Morgantown, we don't ever see somebody coming here to the meeting. So I'm not sure that just giving them that title, if there's no participation, is going to help at all.
I don't know. I've received more than one email or when people sign up saying, geez, I'd really like to see events in my area. So I don't know. We just being this bifurcated club, it's just something to talk about. That's all.
It is. I mean, but I think it's probably more of a business meeting discussion than here coffee DVs. But like I said, I'll jot that down as something we might want to talk about. All right. Another item that I had down was one of the things that we had talked about was before the legislative session here kicks off in mid-January is doing some, reaching out to delegates, House representatives and West Virginia Senate about the deal with electric vehicle manufacturers who do not have dealers being able to sell directly in the state. So companies like Rivian and Tesla and Lucid and whoever else comes along, that business model is going to be more prevalent, and we want to see some changes there. Now, I think Marty pointed out, you really need lobbying help probably at a high level to fully get that done. But we can start trying to soften the ground and making at least the members of the legislature aware of that desire that we have to get that done and the benefits of doing that in West Virginia. So I want to encourage that. I think what I'll do is I'll send out the links to the House of Delegates and the Senate, so that everyone can get their list and look, so who is their representative if you don't know, or their senator, and reach out to them. Marty, do we have anything from the past, like any language that was used or anything that we could take a look at, maybe send out as a sample that people could refashion in their own words?
Well, we have the law that should just be struck down. That I could find that and send it out.
Okay, maybe just anything that we have that maybe we've done in the past. I mean, we want it struck down, but I think does it have like the rationale about why we think it's important to have?
Yeah, you might want to talk. John had his hand raised there.
Okay. Hey, John.
So one suggestion I would have is that we put something out on Facebook and also on the website with maybe a form letter email that people can utilize that would maybe help spark more participation from the members.
One thing that perhaps Thornton could clarify for us is the definition of lobbying, because a non-charitable organization cannot lobby. And so there's a fine line between what you're doing to express your opinion and asking someone to support something, which is lobbying. We need to kind of clarify that before we jump off and
but to be clear, Wveaa itself is not lobbying. I mean, we are citizens who vote, and we can contact our representatives and express our opinion on the existing legislation.
Yeah, if we show up an awful lot, and on the in the Capitol and everything on a daily basis, they might talk about lobbying. I don't think many of us have done that on our issues.
Yeah, Solar United Neighbors. I know Solar United Neighbors will send out form letters, and then you can just simply put your name to it and send it on. I can't see why that would be a problem for the Wveaa.
Well, we could post a sample. So we can post something, a sample, like a format, and then. But I think if everybody gets a generic template, I don't think it carries as much weight as if it's customized a bit about why does it mean something to you that I'm not just sending something that some other organization put out. And generally, like with the Solar United Neighbors stuff, I take their stuff and they give you an opportunity to modify it. So generally I will modify it and I will add my own paragraph, especially like at the beginning, to say why this is important to me. So just putting that out there, even if we have a template, I think it's important to try to make it your own and put it in your own words as much as you can.
Yeah, I would absolutely recommend that. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's something we'll work on. We'll put, I said, I've got these links for the legislature that folks can have, and then have some type of brief template that people could take and modify. All right, who else just joined? Oh, looks like we've got Dr. Chip Pickering with us. All right. Hey, Chip, can you hear us?
He's muted.
The next thing on my list was talking about the new charters.
Chip, if you go down to the bottom of your screen, move your cursor to the bottom of the screen, you'll see a couple buttons there that say mute and.
You have to change your microphone settings too if you got multiple microphones. Okay. Well, we might give Chip a minute here to see if, because he might be the first time he's running this software. It might take a minute to get the right. Another item I did have though was stickers. I think everyone's probably seen the generous offer from Taylor about the Wveaa logo stickers, and I know he sent out a few of those. Taylor, how many did you end up sending out?
I believe I sent out I think about 18 of them in total. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I sent 2 to everyone. I think one gentleman I sent 4 of them, and yeah, hopefully everyone should have them by now. So hopefully
all right, Marianne's holding hers up.
Cars or something. Yeah, cool.
Awesome. And so I know Taylor offered to do that. Just something to do to help out the club, and that's great. But I think if there's a lot of interest from these, we might want to look at making it a little more formal. We have had some requests from just folks on the website looking for these stickers or something to do with Wveaa. So that's something we might want to do a little more formally and charge a small amount for. Does anyone have any thoughts on stickers and what would you pay for a sticker? $2 or $3, $5? Taylor, what does it take to make them?
Well, I think actually on the first round of them, it was just included with another order of stickers. The guy just ran them off for me, but I think they were $3 a piece, which I thought that was actually a little bit steep.
That's a little. We probably find if we can get them done in volume, might get them a little bit cheaper.
I'll talk to him about it and just see. It's I'll talk to the main guy there and say, hey, this is what we're doing, and they've got different employees, and I think they just slap prices on stuff sometimes just randomly. So yeah, if we do want to get a good bit of them made, I'm sure they can do better than that. So I would think like you could sell them for $4 pretty easily. I mean, even $5, like you said, maybe, but.
Was gonna also we've talked about trying to modify it a little bit and show put the name, spell out the name, and put the website on it. Everybody see that?
Yes.
Okay. I had to open up my drawing program. And then Taylor, you all also were talking about possibly putting stickers on charging stations. And I know we briefly touched on that in the past with some concern that station owners may not appreciate that with stickers unless they gave permission.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, that was my suggestion was, we could say, hey, we're trying to grow knowledge of this, of our organization. Would you mind if we put one of our decals on your EVSE equipment? But I think most station owners, I mean, I would still consider them early adopters, still at this point. So surely if they were motivated to put in a charge station, I can't imagine that they would be against supporting, the Wveaa.
Okay. Well, again, this will probably be another item for our next business meeting, so we can talk a little bit more in depth. But just wanted to put that out there, make sure folks that were aware of the stickers that have been circulated and that we may be changing the design to add a little more detail to it.
It may be timely to mention, and I think we may have discussed this before, and being old, I don't remember, but the EAA, of which we are a chapter, is changing their name to the EVA. We're going to stay WVEAA, and we need to know that before we get any stickers, or are we going to change our name to WVEVA?
I think we did touch on that, and we decided that we would not. I mean, we can bring that up again at the business meeting, but I think that the will at the time was that we wouldn't change. Oh, and John, I see John's comment on the stickers that might need to be a little bit smaller. Yeah, especially if we're going to like put them on charging stations or something, I could see that. If folks are okay with it. All right. Chip, are you with us? Can you hear us?
Chip is having problems. He's never used Ring Central before, and for some reason he's not able to hear us.
It might be, you might have to select the right speakers or something.
Yeah, I don't know what his problem is.
You can call in though for audio.
Okay.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about the video or the computer setup if he just wants to call in.
Just that.
Robert, do you or some of the others get the notices when there's people joining the national organization? I've seen that there's like 6 or 7 and since September or something joining the national group.
I think Scott, you get those, don't you?
Yes, I get those.
Hey, if you can't get the video to work, you can use one of the numbers there in the email to call in.
Marty, can you mute?
I'm muted.
Okay. Yeah, I get those notices. Who else does? Does Rick or Robert as well?
I do not.
I can take an item where I will just let people know, the officers who's joined the national, as well as we also get when there's transactions on our own. Well, no, it's not so much our national. It's just they've joined the national one. As well, I guess we do also get when we get donations to our club account.
You see one recently for me, Scott?
Yes, I believe I did remember.
I just want to make sure that actually flowed through.
I don't get I don't get new members and I don't get donations, but I get people who renew their membership. I recently sent Robert one because it was a change of email address, but that's all I get is the renewals.
So I have a question. Since Rick's you're running for the EVA, right? Or the
Well, they're still calling it the EAA until I think the January meeting.
So I renewed my national last month, and made donation to the local. So I haven't gotten anything from the national in terms of an email. And what do I proactively do if I want to vote for you? Because I've never voted in one of their elections. I just kind of ignore their elections.
Yeah, there must have been some date at which active members at that time received an email. But because they changed their email address sending, it used to be secretary at EAA or Electric Auto, and now it's my EVA, secretary at my EVA. So some of those went into spam folders. So I've worked with Terry is her name, who is the election coordinator, and I put out a couple notices. Marianne got one about writing to her, secretary at myeva.org, and asking for a replacement ballot. But otherwise, there's nothing you can do proactively to get one. They accept to email and she has two roles, secretary, but also election coordinator. So if you write to secretary at myeva.org and say, I double check, make sure if you're sure you paid your dues, and I think it had to be by November the 1st, but you can't join now and vote in this election.
Now, I renewed in October.
I'm sorry?
I said I renewed in October.
You should be good then.
But I hadn't gotten anything. Now,
maybe Rick, maybe Rick, you could forward that email address to Thornton so that he could contact them about getting a replacement ballot.
Also, can I ask one more procedural question? Is there actually a ballot with your name on it?
It's a strange ballot. It is. There's 17 people running for 3 positions, and you can't submit the ballot unless you vote for all 3. Well, a person who's running like myself would vote for myself. I wouldn't vote and give votes to anybody else, but I had to, or the ballot was not accepted. I've never seen one like that before. So I had to pick the 2 people out of 17 that I thought were the least likely to win, vote with them, as well as me. So when you get the ballot, it's going to be a strange one. You have to vote for 3 people. If you do get a ballot and you don't vote for the California people because they have chapters of 800. I don't think there's any chance that I'm going to get in, even if I got all 20 of us that are in EAA. Ohio just put out a newsletter and they mentioned my candidacy and asked people in the EAA to vote for me. And the Tennessee people, I didn't hear back from him, but I asked him to do the same because we don't have representation. It's pretty much a San Diego bicycle ride.
No.
And Marianne just mentioned in the chat to check your November 2nd email for your spam in case it went to spam. It might be there from November 2nd.
I check my spam folder too.
Hey, Chip, can you hear us?
Chip is still showing muted. No, he's not muted. Chip?
Yeah, hi everybody, I'm here. Sorry about that.
That's okay. Welcome to the call.
All right.
I think we wanted to talk about some new chargers, Chip. I think that was you had an announcement.
Okay. Hi everybody, all you electric vehicle people out there. I'm Chip Pickering from Williamstown, and I've met some of you, but probably not all. So hello.
Morning.
I'm not sure. Marty could probably fill you in a little bit more about what I've been doing, but I do solar work, and I'm interested in renewable energy and sustainability and trying to introduce those technologies into the communities. So essentially what I've been doing for the last year and a half or so has been donating electric vehicle charging stations to communities and organizations that will put them out into the community and let people charge. And I typically try to sell it from the perspective of it's going to attract people that are in that electric vehicle community to your downtown area so that they can eat at your restaurants and, visit your tour sites and things like that. So Marty has sort of been my communications manager with respect to that. I just told him that I would do it, and he's been out recruiting communities and getting these placed in here. So all I've been doing is sort of supporting that process with some funding in the background and agreeing to continue periodically. But at this point, I and Marty could probably rattle off some of the places that we've done, but probably before he got into it, we placed a couple at the city of Marietta, a couple at city of Belpre. Those are both in Ohio. The Marietta or Washington County Public Library, which is in Marietta. And that's kind of when Marty got a hold of it and said, well, hey, we can put some of these around in places. So he's talked to a lot of people about it. And we're just, these are level 2 chargers, 40 amp, just to be able to, if you want to go travel to, I found myself driving my Bolt to Charleston and spending a day in the Capitol building, and then it's cold and you're wondering if you can run your heater home again. So it'd be nice to have some electric vehicle charging stations in Charleston area and places like that. So it's a real challenge to find those. And so our thought is, well, okay, instead of sitting around waiting for somebody else to do it, we'll just do it. So
you mentioned restaurants, but we were told that it was only nonprofits or business organizations. Do you supply them to some for-profit organizations as well?
Yeah, I would be willing to do that. And especially if it's in an area where there's other things around. But it's the concept is to get people to start driving electric vehicles. So if you had one at a restaurant, somebody showed up to, as long as they as long as they made it generally available. And I haven't put a whole lot of rules around this. Marty and I sort of talked about it at one time. You know, essentially our goals are to try to put them in places that you know, people would be inclined to come and use them, and that would attract people with electric vehicles to these sites, and to give some more visibility to the internal combustion engine community that, hey, there are charging stations all over the place. You can go ahead and get one of these vehicles and feel comfortable driving it around. So I guess that's the underlying theme. I don't have a whole lot of rules about it. I do have a community foundation form that Marty's put together that sort of provides some guidelines that says, well, hey, here's what our targeted agencies are. But from a practical standpoint, you know, we're just trying to get them out there and placed in places that people with electric vehicles can charge up and enjoy whatever the community sites are. So, Marty, you could probably rattle down the list about, you know, easier than I have. I know the last three that I just purchased were City of Charleston,
Barboursville.
Is that okay? At the library there.
And Richwood.
Okay, and then Richwood were the last three, and then where were the other ones?
Well, you've done some that I wasn't involved in. There's a tourist location in Preston County.
The National Radio Observatory.
Yeah, we've got the National Radio Observatory. Then there's a place along the Cheat River near Rollsburg. What's that? There's a historical house there or something. The Eleanor Roosevelt.
That's Arthurdale.
Arthurdale.
Yeah.
Okay. Arthurdale, and then at your alma mater, West Virginia Wesleyan, you've got you did a really nice setup with solar panels and a couple charging stations, and then we've got a couple at Fairmont and their parking garage, and Lewisburg.
State get one, the WVU campus at Potomac State. Kaiser.
I don't remember anything there.
Well, I mean, we had some discussions with them, Rick, but it sounded like WVU was going to go their own way under the WVU umbrella.
Yeah. Marlinton, at the Visitor Center in Marlinton. I understand that one's very popular.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't gotten to all these places yet. So
yeah, Lewisburg's having a problem though. They didn't take our advice and plan in advance how they're going to pay for the electricity, and we've heard that they turned theirs off. So maybe we should get them back and give them to somebody that wants them.
Well, I would say if they're not going to. So the real challenge with this, and I ran into this with the West Virginia Department of Transportation, who wanted to put a few out and around their pull-offs, especially here at Williamstown at the Visitor Center, and if you're on a demand meter, and you know they may have a fairly low demand, but a couple people drive in and start charging electric vehicles for 15 minutes, and all of a sudden they've set a new, or they've added 12 kilowatts to their demand registration for the month, which is what's that kick up to? It's about $12. So it's $150 every month. That's for a 15-minute charge. So that's built into the tariff rates, and the utility companies know it. And it also hurts you on the solar for commercial as well. But they took one look at that and said, well, you know, we're not about to pay for this. And that may have been what Lewisburg saw, was a big jump in their utility rates caused by the peak and a couple of people charging, or the perception of that. But I've encouraged people to, put a little donation box beside them. I mean, folks that come in from out of town know that, power's not free, and, you turn around and we all know what the cost of energy is. You can make a donation that would offset the cost of that energy used. And other people kick in a little bit more to cover the freeloaders, but
that's exactly what Marlington's done. They're very happy with it.
Okay, there you go. So maybe that's the, just the pitch that needs to go to, who was it, Lewisburg?
Yeah, I've been unable to contact the right person yet at Lewisburg, but I'm
Okay.
trying to do that. So one thing is we now have a form. I think it's available on the website, and that form is very helpful because it lets us know gives us contact names and addresses, and that's the kind of thing we need to be able to keep track of folks. Because
and I think it's good too that the form points them in the direction of, we want this thing to be, it requires care and feeding, and there are costs, and we want you to plan for that because we want people to have a good experience if they show up at Charger.
So one of the things that I ran into when I was researching it, because my church asked about putting one in, and was I found a church that put a little sign up with about the donations and gave a QR code for an easy donation.
Oh, okay.
That's cool.
What about using a networked chargers? You can get Wi-Fi anywhere, and then you could put in like a ChargePoint network charger, even a level 2 one or something like that.
The only challenge that I've got with that is that you're paying their network fees, which are not insignificant for small use. Now I've never really looked into that, so I really can't say. But it's another level of a dimension where you're setting up accounts and you're having people charge, and they've got an overlay of costs associated with that, and that could certainly be done. And if that's the case, why do you need free chargers? You sign up for their system, and I'm not sure what you get with that, but with that overlay comes their infrastructure, and you're buying their charger with their metering and that sort of thing. So I don't know what the cash outlay is, or whether they'll put
We
one
saw
in.
a recent example, Chip. There was one of those put in Ripley at a hotel, and I think the article said it was a $30,000 installation, plus the per kilowatt hour charges were 40 to 50 cents per kilowatt hour at a Blink or not a ChargePoint charger.
For a level 2?
Yes.
Yeah, it's a Blink. Was
that a Blink?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm not charged for Blink.
Yeah, Blinks will get you. I mean, of course, if you need power, that I know what they're doing. They're basically pricing that at the equivalent cost of internal combustion engine fuel and mileage. So they're turning around and figuring, well, okay, you're getting 100 mile, or you're getting 4 miles per kilowatt hour, and if I charge this, it's the equivalent of somebody at 20 miles per gallon. So they're adjusting their pricing based upon what the market demands are, and not what the true costs are.
I looked at the ChargePoint, and I assure you the ChargePoint is the one that takes home all the dollars when you put in a ChargePoint. Their systems are about 4 times as much, 3 to 4 times as much for the capital outlay for the charger itself. And then you have to make sure you have a Wi-Fi system that works. And then there's a monthly fee to be on their network. It's almost reasonable, maybe a few $dozen a month, and a per session fee that's like $1 to hook up, and then so much a kilowatt hour to be online. It ends up costing the host a ton of money to be linked up to the ChargePoint.
Okay, I wasn't aware of all that. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, I think ChargePoint's kind of transparent on that. You can ask them, and they'll give you the dollars. contacted them years ago. That's why state parks and stuff, and like the city of South Charleston, have gone with non-network chargers, because the network charging cost far exceeds the power costs for those locations.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think
That's my experience. Yeah.
Sorry. Well, Chip, I just want to say I'm glad everybody gets to see your lovely face, and and we know the person now a little bit behind all the generosity. We certainly appreciate it, and you did speak to me about saying if there is a actual bill that from the feds that funds all this, that you would drop out of your support. It looks like it passed. We don't know what the ramifications of that is for charging in West Virginia, though. So I'd hope that for at least for an interim period, you'll continue funding this effort. I think there's still more people out there that want the service.
Yeah, I'm comfortable continuing on, Marty, and I think one of the I guess in my mind, from a practical standpoint, specifically targeting tourist destinations in West Virginia. I mean, if we're wanting people to come explore wild, wonderful West Virginia, if they pull it up on a map and they don't see anywhere to charge, they're going to go somewhere that they can. So let's. I'd be very comfortable focusing on that initially and keep going. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see how this overlay of whatever the charging station allocation is for West Virginia and how they're going to administer that and what that means. I know you guys with Teslas have a different charging infrastructure that you can use, but I'm not sure that there's any high voltage DC in West Virginia to be able to work with, and so we just need to, the standardization outside of Tesla has some challenges, and it's a shame that that's a technology overlay that is a barrier to EV adoption that Tesla very proactively engaged with, and I quite honestly, that's why they're worth 10 times the combined assets of Ford and GM right now. I'm not sure that's a long-term practical consideration, but it just shows what the industry thinks of Tesla and one of Elon Musk's bold moves. So,
speaking of fast DC charging, given for the extended J plug standard, the CCS standard, I did speak to Perry McCutcheon at Department of Highways. He's tough to get a hold of, but he did call me back. And he said that they've nailed down the locations for fast DC using the Volkswagen money. They've nailed down the locations of chargers in Charleston. It'll be at the Capitol Complex and at Tamarack and near Beckley. And he also said that they were down to 2 locations in Huntington, either Ritter Park or one of the parking garages downtown. I guess Huntington has a free parking garage, and that was probably where they're going to go. They were having some difficulty finding a location at Morgantown, and that was with a different power company. That's with Mon Power, and that I don't know if that was complicating things or not. He did say that Charleston and the Tamarack locations definitely would be in by the second quarter of next year. So, in the words of Elon Musk, 2 weeks.
Well, and if they want to lay in some level twos in and around those, which would be easy to do, I'd be glad to help out with that too.
Well,
So,
the city of Charleston is going to put some somewhere. I'm not quite sure. I think it's a parking garage,
yeah.
the McFarland Street parking garage there by the South Side Bridge. So there'll be a couple, level twos there. And I don't know, Rick, do you know anybody that works in the city of Huntington? Or were they interested in a donation of a level two to go along with the DC fast chargers?
I haven't heard anything at all. We have a few level twos. There may be some that aren't on plug share, and so I don't even know. Like the one in Cumberland, Maryland, Hampton Inn has 4 plugs and never put it on plug share at all, but it's open to the public, and they just didn't know you're supposed to put it on plug share. But as far as Huntington's concerned, neither one of those locations are anywhere near the interstate. So it may be better than nothing, but it's not going to be convenient for traveling like it would be to put it at the Huntington Mall or at Tanyard Station. But those aren't owned by there's no land there that I know of that's owned by the state to put it on. So they don't own Ritter Park either, so I don't know how they're going to do that except with a joint arrangement with the city of Huntington. But it'll be terrible because there's just no easy way. Well, there's a relatively easy way, but not a good way. There's one road you have to go 20 miles an hour to get to Ritter Park. And that's the one that leads from Hal Greer, which goes to the interstate. So neither one of those sound very good to me.
But it's something, at least you will have options, unlike currently, which we don't really have much option for CCS in West Virginia.
Guys, I'd like to jump in and say good morning to Chip, and I'm a fan of the work that he does. And I was going to ask about the tax credit for the EVSEs. I understand, obviously, it would be useful for the actual purchase of the charger. But then how about the install? Does the person that installs it, do they get to take advantage of the cost of the installation for that?
Hang on just a second.
All right.
I'm on a conference call. You can take anything you want. No. Hi. All right. Hi.
Hey
I think I got your question. I'm really not familiar with the tax credits, but I understand those tax credits are if you buy a charging station and install it in your home. So I'm not sure. That's how I'm familiar with that. These are all donations that are either made by me personally or donations that are made through a fund that we have. We have a Marietta and a Parkersburg Community Foundation fund. So we just donate those through as to how we're working it. But I think that the tax credits that you get individually would come from installing those in your home, like you would any other Energy Star appliance or solar systems. They all come with tax credits. Geothermal heat pumps, I think those are all under a broad category of new technologies that are supported by tax credits. But I don't know. I have accountants that do it for me. So.
I know the cost of installation is probably not insignificant. So, whenever you're donating these things, I just thought maybe that could be an extra point that you could make with those. But again, I guess you're usually donating these to nonprofit organizations, so they probably don't have a tax liability anyway. But that was just a thought that I had. Maybe that would.
Mm-hmm. It's a good point. And from a practical standpoint, a $1,500 charger, charging system, 2 chargers and a pedestal's around $1,600 plus shipping. And it'll probably cost them about the same amount to get it installed somewhere. By the time they pour a pad and put a conduit in and run it inside a building somewhere. Could be less if they're wall mounted, could be more, but that's, probably a good rule of thumb. But, it's the ongoing feeding electricity to them. And I've had people inquire about, throwing up a solar canopy in and around those. And of course that adds significantly to the cost, but, I've got an industrial customer that has decided that that's what they want, and it's a part of a visual impact. I don't know if you guys have seen any of the shots of Pickering Associates up on in Parkersburg, outside of Parkersburg, but we have 6-7 solar canopies of various types, sort of as a demonstration project. But we've done those. We're starting to get a little bit better at doing those, and so I could see solar canopies. They make that visual impact that, hey, not only is and it takes away the argument that, well, electric vehicles are still pretty dirty because of the batteries and all of that. You say, well, hold on a second. They're much cleaner when we get our energy system transitioned away from coal over to renewables, and here's some staring you at the face. So, that's a part of, and those are, those investments are significant with respect to, a little charger bolted to a wall and pulling power off. So my strategy has been, let's get these chargers all over the place to encourage people to drive EVs, and then let's go out differently and clean up the grid, because our 500 kilowatt system at West Virginia Wesleyan that we're putting in would require all of the solar canopies that you see, would be prohibitively expensive to put over.
I would like to throw out an idea here to you. I have a solar canopy at my business. I'm actually it's a grid positive location because I overbuild it with the plans of being able to charge EVs, and me not being having to basically pay anything for the electricity after the investment of my solar canopy. And I actually talked to AEP about demand charges before I put in my EVSE, and they said that as long as your usage does not go beyond 2,000 kilowatt hours a month, they said we will not put in a demand meter. Well, because I have solar, I went solar first. It's a 12.7 kilowatt canopy. They said, so they said, well, you're never going to probably use more than 2,000 kilowatt hours of energy. So now they can't charge me for demand. So I thought that was a pretty, I guess I just kind of lucked into that.
So yeah, and I think your strategy is to make sure that you don't ever exceed your production by 200 kilowatt hours a month. So you've made it in underneath the opening bar, if you will. Yeah. And so they're allowing you to continue doing that. So I don't know what your business is, but I applaud you for that. What do you do?
Well, I have a mini storage business, and then also I install solar.
Okay, very good.
He's your competitor.
Yeah, what's your company?
Advancing Solar Solutions. I don't know if you've maybe seen anything out there, but yeah, we've been open actually since last November. So.
Okay, so link up. Marty's got my information. Link up with me, because I don't do any solar installation now. I work with local contractors to do this. So be glad to chat with you about things that are in your area here.
Okay, cool.
If we can do a win-win, but that's really significant. And the benefit that the power company gets from that is they're getting all of the excess kilowatt hours that they can't bill you for. They're accruing on your meter or on your billing statement for someday.
Right.
But yeah, if you're familiar with this process, then if you walk into an existing customer, then you've got to deal with the economics of paying that off in accordance with a peak demand billing scenario under, rate B or rate C or whichever it is. But it's really it's a barrier to the adoption of solar and to the use of high powered technologies in West Virginia, and they know that. And their argument is, well, you're getting a free ride at $5.10 a month for service charges and things like that. And I said, well, okay, it's not helping our commercial customers, but yeah. And then it loops around, and then you've lost the conversation.
Hey, Chip, I want to point out that one of the fellows on the meeting today, John Ayers, is your neighbor at Pickering Associates. He's right across the Route 2 there.
Oh, hi, John.
You guys know each other?
Not that I know of. And
I don't think we've ever personally met. I'm just down the road a little bit.
Okay, you look a little familiar to me, but if I were there a whole lot, I would say come up and charge, and I'll buy you a cup of coffee. But you're welcome to come up and charge if you'd like to. But you've probably seen our canopy and our array up there. Yeah.
Yeah, I actually used it when I first got the car before I got my charger installed the first night I brought it home. And so I really appreciated that. If Route 2 was a little bit safer, I might take advantage of it a little bit more to walk up there, but you know how Route 2 is.
Mm-hmm.
I would mention again, and Chip already knows this, I donated the chargers to Marshall University, and I agreed with you 100% on what the cost of installation would be. But the cost, instead of being another $2,500, was $9,700. And I asked, why is that? Let's get another bid. And they said, we have a contract with an electric firm that if it's under $10,000, we can't competitively bid. So we made a mistake of asking them to do a $2,500 project that they bid out at $9,700 because they couldn't compete against it. So all the nonprofits you go to frequently will have a contract with somebody. They've got to put together their project large enough that it's validly over 10,000 and then put it out for a competitive bid. I was recently, I'm on the President's Sustainability Committee at Bowling Green State University in Ohio, and they were in a similar situation. They had a contract, so they were going to make sure that what they were going to have done was worth more than 10,000, and then have it go out for competitive bids instead of being forced to go to the electric company that they had the contract with.
So I'll kind of tie that to one of my favorite comments. So we live in a world where technologically, as an engineer, we can do things, but we also live in a world where politically we've created all these rules around implementation and execution and what's allowed in my backyard and what's not allowed. And it's really interesting how, it's like the peak load tariff and everything else that we've just been discussed. They're roadblocks that are thrown in there politically that don't need to be there toward us getting things accomplished. And that's unfortunate, but I can give you lots of instances from the construction industry of similar things like that. But unintended consequences of developing these relationships. All right, gentlemen, anything else I can do for you here?
We're about 3 or 4 minutes from the end of our hour anyway. So thank you very much, Chip. Thank you again for joining us. Thank you for all the work you're doing and helping out with charging and electric vehicle adoption in West Virginia. We really appreciate it. I'm sure the EV drivers from in and out of state appreciate it. So thank you again.
All right. Well, keep your ears to the ground. If there's a place we need electric vehicle charging stations, let's pitch it and get them going. So be glad to help. All right. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Marty. Hey, Marty's doing the heavy lifting here.
Thank you, Chip.
Right.
Thanks, Chip.
All right.
Nice
Thank you.
Virtually meet you there.
There you go. All right. See ya.
Robert, anything else you want to cover?
I think I've covered everything that was on my list. We've got a couple of things we'll probably want to talk about at our next business meeting. But no, covered everything I needed. Any last minute comments?
We're gonna talk about the decals at the business meeting. Is that right?
Yeah, we'll talk more about those actual at the business meeting, since that's more of an actual business meeting topic. But I just wanted to kind of get that people thinking about it.
Robert, it would probably be good for the group to refresh everyone on when the members meet are and the EV and coffees, just so we get them updated on our schedule since we're almost into a new year.
We decided to move the coffee and EVs for November and December back a week to avoid the holiday. So that's why we're meeting 1 week early today. And in December, it will be Saturday, December the 18th will be the next coffee and EVs to keep it off the Christmas weekend. And then our next business meeting should be the second Saturday in January, so that will be the 8th. So January the 8th.
Hello, I missed the first few minutes. You may have already discussed it. I attempted to sign up for the test drive at Yeager Airport, and it took me to another airport up in Columbus.
I mean, actually, I just saw that note. Somebody sent it out last night. Jim Dodrell, I think, sent that out on the listserv, and I wasn't aware of it, so I'm not familiar with it. I knew Tisla was doing things like that. I wasn't aware they were doing it in West Virginia. But I don't know. It sounds like maybe things just haven't quite got all situated yet. Might give it another week or so, and then see if you can sign up.
Okay, thanks.
Rodney, if you live in West Virginia, get in touch with me sometime. I'll give you a test drive.
That's true. If you want to test drive a Model 3, there's a lot of us with Model 3s around.
Yeah.
Rodney, whereabouts are you from?
Cross Lanes.
Okay, I'm just up here in Ripley. We just we just got our Model Y in, and we really like it. But yeah, if you ever want to take a test drive, like I said, we'd probably meet up in the area. I go down to Charleston, about every month or so for something. So.